Hi everyone. I chose to do my report on E.B. White. His birth name is Elwyn Brooks White. He was born in July of 1899. Um, he actually hated his birth name that his mother gave him. He says that she only gave him that name because she ran out of names because he is one of six children. When he was in college at Cornell University, he was given the nickname Andy, and he went with that nickname for the rest of his life. Um, After he graduated college, he began working for The New Yorker, which is a magazine that is also where he met his wife. She was an editor and a writer for The New Yorker as well. And that's where he spent most of his career. Um, he was actually more of an adult author than he was a children's author, but he did write three children's books, and all three of them became very popular. And I'm pretty sure all three of them won awards. Um, the most popular one is Charlotte's Web. That one I feel like is read to every child. Um, the other two books are Stuart Little and The Trumpet of the Swan, which The Trumpet of the Swan I had never heard of before doing research on him, but I was told by my librarian that it is very popular. However, I could not locate a copy of it. I tried and I couldn't get one. Um, some of his awards are the Newbery Award, um, Children's Literature Legacy Award. And then he also won a Pulitzer Prize, which I think that was won because of his writing with The New Yorker, but I thought it was interesting anyway that he won a Pulitzer Prize. Um, so the activity that I chose to do actually goes more with Charlotte's Web. But what I thought was we could talk about E.B. White, we could read Charlotte's Web, and then I drew my own. I am not an artist, just a heads up, but I was thinking all of them can make their own spider web and come up with one word to describe themselves. In mine, for example, I wrote caring. Um, I wrote that because I genuinely care about other people and I do what I can just to put a smile on somebody's face, which is part of the reason I want to go into special education because those kids are amazing. But that's a whole nother topic. So I thought all the kids could do that, write one word that describes themselves, and then we could go around the room and discuss the word that they chose and why they chose it. And I think that would be a good way for everyone to kind of show their strengths and their personality, which I feel is pretty important when it comes to children's self. I don't know what the word is, but just to feel good about themselves. I think that's a good way to do that. But the book I chose to read is Stuart Little. Which I've actually never read the book. I've seen the movie, but I've never read the book itself. I'm going to do chapter three. There's 15 total chapters in this book. They're all pretty short. The book itself is 125 pages total, but I'm just going to read chapter three. Stuart was an early riser. He was almost always the first person up in the morning. He liked the feeling of being the first one stirring. He enjoyed the quiet rooms with the books standing still on the shelves, the pale light coming in through the windows, and the fresh smell of day. In winter time, it would be quite dark when he climbed from his bed made out of the cigarette box, and he sometimes shivered with cold as he stood in the nightgown doing his exercises. Stuart touched his toes 10 times every morning to keep himself in good condition. He had seen his brother George do it, and George had explained that it kept the stomach muscles firm and was a fine abdominal thing to do. After exercising, Stuart would slip on his handsome wool wrapper, tie the cord tightly around his waist, and start for the bathroom, creeping silently through the long dark hall past his mother's and father's room, past the hall closet where the carpet sweeper was kept, past George's room, and along by the head of the stairs till he got to the bathroom. Of course, the bathroom would be dark too, but Stuart's father had thoughtfully tied a long string to the pull chain of the light. The string reached clear to the floor. By grasping it as high up as he could and throwing his whole weight on it, Stuart was able to turn on the light. Swinging on the string this way, with his long bathrobe trailing around his ankles, he looked like a little old friar pulling the bell rope in an abbey. To get to the wash basin, Stuart had to climb a tiny rope ladder which his father had fixed for him. George had promised to build Stuart a small special wash basin, only 1 inch high and with a little rubber tube through which water would flow. But George was always saying that he was going to build something and then forgetting about it. Stuart just went ahead and climbed the rope ladder to the family wash basin every morning to wash his face and hands and brush his teeth. Mrs. Little had provided him with a doll-sized toothbrush, a doll-sized cake of soap, a doll-sized washcloth, and a doll's comb, which he used for combing his whiskers. He carried these things in his bathrobe pocket, and when he reached the top of the ladder, he took them out, laid them neatly in a row, and set about the task of turning the water on. For such a small fellow, turning the water on was quite a problem. He had discussed it with his father one day after making several unsuccessful attempts. "I can get up onto the faucet all right," he explained, "but I can't seem to turn it on, because I have nothing to brace my feet against." "Yes, I know," his father replied. "That's the whole trouble." George, who always listened to conversations whenever he could, said that in his opinion they ought to construct a brace for Stuart, and with that he got out some boards, a saw, a hammer, a screwdriver, a bradawl, and some nails, and started to make a terrific fuss in the bathroom, building what he said was going to be a brace for Stuart. But he soon became interested in something else and disappeared, leaving the tools lying around all over the bathroom floor. Stuart, after examining this mess, turned to his father again. "Maybe I could pound the faucet with something and turn it on that way," he said. So Stuart's father provided him with a very small, light hammer made of wood, and Stuart found that by swinging it 3 times around his head and letting it come down with a crash against the handle of the faucet, he could start a thin stream of water flowing, enough to brush his teeth in, anyway, and moisten his washcloth. So every morning, after climbing to the basin, he would seize his hammer and pound the faucet, and the other members of the household, dozing in their beds, would hear the bright, sharp plink, plink, plink of Stuart's hammer, like a faraway blacksmith telling them that day had come and that Stuart was trying to brush his teeth. So that's the chapter that I wanted to share. Um, and that's what I have. I also included the brochure. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks.